Here we go again. Welcome to the Richard Unwaje's YouTube channel. More full of the biggest story around the Super Eagles, Super Falcons, and in short, all Nigerian stories in general, sporting stories in general, right? And general sports. If you've not clicked the call it subscription button, do that, and let's get busy right here. Now, the Super Eagles 24-man list is out, and we're having a series on that. The first series, if you've not watched, we spoke about the 24-man players, and we spoke about each of the players. You need to watch that video. And the other video before this one, we spoke about Paul Onatru, as you might call it. Now, his no striker in Nigeria have scored. Respect to Victor Osimhen right now, but for club level, in the Turkish league, he has scored so many goals. So many goals. He's doing very well, scoring goals in almost every game for his club. So he's doing very well. And we spoke about in our last video why he was not invited, and I gave some reasons. If you've not watched that video, please go and watch the video. Now, we'll talk about some players that were invited to the Super Eagles 24-man list. Some players who were missing in the game against Benin. And we'll talk about the reasons why they were invited. And so we'll talk about those players. So just stick around, get your subscription button, take a popcorn and water, let's chill together. Don't forget, you're free to drop your comments, and let's have this banter together. All right, we'll talk about four players. Let us speak about four players who were invited to the Super Eagles team, and I will tell you why they were invited. Now, they were not in the last game against Benin, but they were invited for this particular game. I will talk about why they were invited. Now, let's go straight and talk about these players. First of all, would be the goalkeeper, Maduka Okoye. Now, Maduka Okoye, we're all happy with the fact that he is back from his suspension. He had a suspension based on some stuff with betting, and he's back. Now, the reason why we're all happy is the fact that many Nigerians are already complaining around Wabali and his inconsistency and maybe his misbehavior and everything. And so having a competition from Maduka Okoye is a big win to the Super Eagles. So it's a great one to have this particular guy, back for the team. So he plays for Indonesia. In his last game, we watched him keep that clean sheet. So there's a great improvement from him. He's doing very, very well, making some important saves for his club. So we have the competition. I don't see the coach changing to Maduka Okoye. I see him still using Wabali. But Maduka Okoye coming back, yes, is a great competition. We need that competition in the goalkeeping department. And Maduka Okoye is bringing that competition. Now let's look at the defenders, and let's talk about a player who is coming in back into the fold, and that would be Awaziem. Now, Chidera Awaziem is the player who plays for France, and it's in France. Now, Awaziem is one of those Super Eagles players, I repeat myself, who is very consistent for his club right now. Now, many people have criticized why Awaziem is in the team, and I will explain it to you right now. Now, forget the whole fine boy Awaziem thing. Awaziem is one of Super Eagles' utility players they have, right? Awaziem can play as your fullback and can play as your central defender. And everybody knows that one of the best things as a coach is to always have defenders that can play multiple roles. Let me shock men who don't really understand. I think Awaziem and Sanusi Zahedin has that, characteristics. These both defenders can also play different roles within the defensive side, and they can also play as your defensive midfield. So Awaziem in the Super Eagles team is not to fill in the paper. Is to have a defender that can be able to play different roles in the defensive lineup. In case you have any injury crisis, you could switch your play. So that's the importance of Awaziem in that team. He's not to fill paper. He's the fact that he can play as your fullback and he can play as your central defender. So having him in your team for me is a good one. So this is the reason why Awaziem is in the team. Secondly, Awaziem is playing full time for his club. Like he's playing every game in the French league, in Ligue 1. So you can't have a player who's playing every time you don't invite him. It does not make any sense at all. So that is the reason why he's on the team. Is in the team. So drop that debate. Awaziem, fine boy, has the reason why he's in the Super Eagles team. Now let's move straight and talk about another key player who is in the team. We'll talk about four players, who got the invite to join Super Eagles. Ralph Onyedika, yes, he was injured in the last game Super Eagles played, and right now he's fit. So that's why we have him with the Super Eagles. He plays for Club Brugge, and he's a very, very good midfielder. Now, he's defensive. He plays a bit of a central role. However, I must stress that Onyedika is not more of that kind of creative midfielder. However, that means that he's not a midfielder you will be able to hope that he does create passes for you. I repeat, the only creative midfielder we have among the midfielders invited is only Alex Iwobi. No other midfielder is creative. All of them are defensive and maybe a bit of central. So Onyedika would play that more of that defensive. I don't see him playing any of the games, but He's just on the list. So he's back because he's fit, and we saw him play for his club in their Champions League game. And one more player who have joined the Super Eagles will be this player. I want to spend some time to talk about him because it has been a while we had him in the Super Eagles. Chidera Ejuke. Now, Chidera is back in the Super Eagles fold. Arguably the most skillful Super Eagles player. Very skillful. He plays for Sevilla in the Spanish league, where he has been having a great game. In fact, he's starting today and he's playing for Sevilla. He's very creative. That's the part. I spoke about him in that video. Chidera is very creative. Chidera can play from your midfield behind your striker. So he has a creative ability. On the flank, he is very, very, very good. He can do one of two of those, biting of the ball with the skills to pass. However, the big issue with Chidera has always been his last balls. But without having issue with the last ball, Chidera is a very, very good player. So he can play as your winger, he can play as your behind your striker. And don't forget that I spoke about this in the last two videos. The Super Eagles want to have players who are in the striking position, strikers or forwards, as the name might be called, forwards, who can also play as attacking midfielders. Don't forget that it's only one attacking midfielder that is in the midfielders category, which is Alex Iwobi. So a player like the Maduka Chidera, who is in real form right now, can play all those different roles, is a big bless the Super Eagles team. So Chidera coming in is a great one. We hope he does well for the Super Eagles, but let's not forget that he's coming in with a lot of versatility. He can play more than one role, and he's enjoying his play right now in Sevilla. And hopefully, he plays well for the Super Eagles. So we've spoken about the four key players who joined the Super Eagles back for this playoff. First of all, we talk about Maduka Okoye, great player. Happy to have him back in the defensive side. We spoke about Chidera Awaziem. May not be complaining about him, and I explained that to you why he's on the list. And we spoke about Ralph. Ralph is back, and Chidera, who has that creative ability, is with the Super Eagles team. We wish them success. Don't forget to click the like notification button and always follow up the Richard Nwaj's YouTube channel.